Most people think being a sports prodigy is a fast track to fame and fortune. But what if everything you've heard about prodigies actually sets them up to fail? Jaden Newman was groomed for greatness from the age of 3, becoming a basketball legend before she even hit high school. Yet instead of landing in the WNBA, her path spiraled into a world of fame and controversy, leaving her with more questions than championships. But here's the twist. Jaden's story reveals a hidden reality about child prodigies, one that could change everything we believe about their futures. And this story might just be the ultimate cautionary tale you need to hear. It all started in 2012, in a small gym where a little girl was taking on high school players like she'd been playing for decades. Jaden Newman wasn't just any 8-year-old. She was a basketball prodigy. Her father, Jamie, had big dreams for Jaden and her brother, Julian. He saw raw talent in both of them and was determined to mold them into basketball legends. By age 3, Jaden was already dribbling and shooting, showing signs of a player well beyond her years. Therefore, Jamie knew he had to give Jaden a strong start. He made sure she trained every day, and soon, her skills were getting noticed. By age 10, Jaden was averaging a mind-blowing 30 points per game against high schoolers. Videos of her handling the ball, pulling off crossovers, and sinking long-range shots spread across social media like wildfire. The attention was massive, and suddenly Jaden wasn't just a local star, she was a national sensation. Everyone wanted to see the young girl who could outplay people twice her age. But with that fame came pressure. Jaden's father pushed her harder and harder, convinced she could reach the very top. She starred in an Under Armour commercial with Steph Curry at just 10 years old, a huge accomplishment. Imagine sharing the screen with one of the greatest shooters in the NBA at such a young age. That commercial set the tone for her career, making her one of the youngest and most visible basketball talents in the country. But this was only the beginning, and Jamie had bigger plans for her. As Jaden's reputation grew, her family realized they needed to take things to the next level. Her father, Jamie, decided to create an entire school dedicated to basketball development, Prodigy Prep. This wasn't a regular high school. It was built to make stars. Jamie modeled Prodigy Prep after basketball academies that churn out Division I players and even NBA stars. He wanted Jaden and Julian to be its centerpieces, training every day to achieve their dreams. Jaden thrived in this environment. She trained constantly, and the numbers proved it. She broke records like it was a regular day at practice, sinking 852 three-pointers over her high school career. That's more than some NBA players hit over their entire careers. She scored 184 threes in a season, and even more impressive, she scored 17 in a single game. These numbers were unheard of, and Jaden's star only kept rising. People said she might even be the first woman to play in the NBA, and Jaden herself started to believe it. But with this success came whispers of doubt. Critics wondered if she was really as good as her stats suggested. They pointed out that most of her competition came from smaller high schools, not the elite basketball programs you'd find across the country. Therefore, her growing fan base began to wonder if she would be able to perform at the college level, where the competition would be much tougher. When it was time to step up to college-level basketball, Jaden faced a rude awakening. She committed to Cal State LA, a Division II school. For someone who'd once been a national sensation, playing at a non-Division I school was a big surprise. Fans were shocked. They'd expected her to join a top-tier program, given her high school stats and viral fame. In high school, she'd taken 50 shots per game and was used to being the star player. But at Cal State LA, she was no longer the standout. Playing time was limited, her scoring opportunities shrank, and suddenly she was just one of many talented players. Her 5'2" frame, which hadn't been a major issue in high school, became a disadvantage against taller, more athletic college players. While her ball handling skills were excellent, the lack of height made defense difficult, and her weaknesses started to show. Moreover, college basketball was a completely different game. Jaden had always played with the ball in her hands, leading her team, but now she had to learn to play in a more team-oriented style. She had to learn to move without the ball, set screens, and play a role that was no longer centered around her. This shift was challenging, and it became clear that the path to pro basketball was going to be much harder than anyone had anticipated. During this challenging transition, Jaden's family decided to pivot. If the basketball dream was becoming harder, then perhaps the fame could still be harnessed in a new way. This is when the Newman family launched Hello Newmans, a reality show that showcased the highs and lows of their everyday lives. The show became popular, giving fans a closer look at the family's intense dynamics and the pressure Jamie placed on his kids. But with this shift came new criticism. Some fans felt that the family was abandoning their athletic goals, choosing fame over basketball development. The show highlighted the immense pressure Jaden faced from her father and the challenges of being a young public figure. Episodes showed the struggles, the arguments, and the sacrifices that Jaden and Julian had to make to maintain their fame. This wasn't the typical basketball journey, and people had mixed feelings about it. Some believed the show was a smart way to build a brand, while others thought it was distracting Jaden from developing her game. Therefore, Hello Newmans brought even more attention to the family but shifted focus away from basketball. With this decision, it seemed that the family was trying to secure their future in a world that now revolved as much around fame as it did around basketball. Just as Jaden's basketball career seemed to be slowing down, another unexpected event threw her back into the public eye. In September 2024, leaked private videos of Jaden surfaced online, creating a scandal that had nothing to do with basketball. This incident shocked her fans and sparked an online debate about privacy, consent, and the dark side of fame. People who had once admired Jaden as a young prodigy were now viewing her story from a very different perspective. The reaction to this incident was mixed. While many showed support for Jaden's privacy, others saw it as yet another chapter in the turbulent life of a young star. Surprisingly, her brother Julian and the rest of the family stayed silent about the incident, a stark departure from their usual openness. This silence led to widespread speculation, with fans and critics alike wondering what was happening behind the scenes. Had the family reached a breaking point, or were they trying to protect Jaden from further scrutiny? Therefore, the scandal added a new layer of complexity to Jaden's story. It highlighted the challenges of growing up in the spotlight and raised questions about the impact of fame on young athletes. The silence from her family only added to the mystery, leaving fans to wonder if this was the final chapter in Jaden's basketball journey. Despite all the hype, Jaden's basketball dream didn't play out as expected. Her journey from high school sensation to college player had taken a toll, and her once promising path to pro basketball was fading. By the end of her high school career, she was barely averaging 10 points per game, a far cry from her earlier numbers. Her Division II college experience was a reminder of how tough the transition from local hero to college competitor can be. But even with these setbacks, Jaden had achieved what few athletes could. She'd made it to college basketball, played on a scholarship, and inspired countless young fans. However, as her basketball career seemed to stall, new opportunities arose. With a massive social media following and name recognition, Jaden had options outside of basketball. Therefore, even if the WNBA dream was slipping away, her influence and story remained impactful. Now, at just 20 years old, Jaden is at a crossroads. She could choose to continue pursuing basketball, perhaps as a coach, trainer, or social media personality in the sports world. Alternatively, she might step away from the sport entirely and focus on a career in entertainment or fitness, using her platform to inspire others. Whatever path she chooses, Jaden's story has become a powerful reminder of both the potential and the pitfalls of early fame. Jaden Newman's journey isn't just about basketball. It's a lesson in the price of early fame, the role of family dynamics, and the challenges of growing up in the spotlight. Her story has left us with questions about how we treat young athletes, how fame impacts their future, and what we can learn from her experience. But as she stands on the edge of a new chapter, one thing is clear: Jaden Newman's story isn't over yet. With her influence and the lessons she's learned, she could still make a huge impact, even if it's off the court. Whether she chooses to stay in the public eye or step away, Jaden's story will be remembered as one of the most complex and captivating journeys in youth sports. The next chapter is hers to write. Where it will lead, only time will tell.